Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Midleton Barry Crockett Irish whiskey. Dustin.
Back to Ireland.
Yeah, buddy. This one is a pretty fun bottle for us to drink. We've gone at it a few times. By the time we brought it to the folks, tell everyone what we can about it, my friend.
Yeah, so I am not the Irish Yoda, but what I do recall, we're talking about something in the line of 12 to 25-year-old whiskeys, predominantly bourbon. I do believe there might be a little bit of sherry casking involved. Barry Crockett, if I recall correctly, Mike, was kind of one of the famous big names at Midleton, so this is kind of an homage to him.
Yeah.
Thankfully, this one comes in at 46%. I believe it is non-chill filtered. I would go ahead and just assume it's colored because I'm pretty sure it doesn't say anything about that. Put a comment down below if I'm incorrect on that one. And so at 46, though, it's one of the few products Midleton puts out at those proper, higher proofs, other than the Redbreast 27 and 21. When you're talking about the higher end stuff, these run 230 what I paid, but that was a few years ago. So you may be looking potentially today at 250, 280. I don't know where the prices have gone.
It says American bourbon cask.
Is it exclusive?
Seasoned and unseasoned.
Don't know what the seasoned part means there. It's a bourbon cask, but all right.
Maybe they may have it in for a number of years required. Well, who's putting whiskey in the barrel for 6 months and throwing it out because it isn't whiskey, but...
Well, but for it to be a bourbon barrel, it had to have been a bourbon barrel.
You would think.
So...
What do I know? So yeah, very nice light gold. Very light gold color.
I mean, so if they are coloring, and again, I don't know that they are or aren't, but I just assume if they don't say it, and I'm pretty sure this one doesn't boldly tell us, what they're probably doing is they are just doing enough coloring to make it a consistent product, so batch to batch they look the same. They're not trying to deceive us, and I mean, again, this is just a nice gold. I mean,
yeah, it looks like morning sunshine, Dustin.
And they put it in such an expensive, pretentious box, although I did hear, Mike, Midleton is going away from those really awesome boxes to be more environmentally sound. I gotta say, I don't really mind it on a bottle like this where it's under $300. Like, you don't really need a box of that quality. I wouldn't mind they keep the box for the Redbreast 27. That deserves a little bit of a fancier package.
Well, things that are back to our control, Dustin. Let's get back to the smell on this.
Classic Irish, just jammy fruits, marmalade.
Peach, I was going to say.
Marmalade, peach marmalade, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Very peachy. Peach schnapps.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah. There's almost like a light grape note. Maybe a white grape with it.
White grape, yep, I can see that. Some type of slight light wine.
Yeah. Maybe even if there's a fruit version of lavender, just a hint.
Yeah, have those lilac bushes out back. It's almost like that smell in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell me, like, if this was how I walked out of a shower, only a little less sweet, a little less vanilla-y. I'd be like, yeah, that's a fresh spring morning, right? You really do get into that really nice jamminess, though, on the back end. Heavy vanilla. Nice smoky oak.
Peaches and strawberries.
Peaches and cream.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like vanilla yogurt almost. A dense vanilla.
Can you make a peach dreamsicle? Like, we're going that direction here.
That is just a lovely smell.
Yeah, the one thing I don't get is any of the pot still note, which is interesting because I know when we get into the palate, it'll shift, but very, very inviting fruits.
Yeah, orchard fruits.
If you wanted to let somebody know, like, I hate to almost say this, but like a Highland or an Irish whiskey, kind of what they smell like when they're just bourbon casks, this is kind of really where they're going in that whole general, like, milieu. It's just easy nosing, drinking whiskey. That's what this smells like.
There are facets of the fruit notes that come off that same Glenmorangie 25-year-old fruit basket. And they're similar age, but, every fruit's approachable. It's light. It's a fruit basket. You know what I mean? Even the orange, which is probably the most overpowering note, even the acidities turn way down just to make room for everything else.
And, the 25 is a good call out because there's a level of refinement here. Now, I think they're almost using some younger whiskeys here to avoid bringing out too much of the oak notes. They've kept the oak subdued, but refinement and sophistication here is very high.
Yeah, the oak note, since you brought it up, it does fight to get out of this experience. And every time you think like, okay, here comes a little bit some of the oakiness, which should be present on something this old, it just gets reined right back in. This is a very good job of balancing quite a few different things and letting nothing get out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to say anything about this whiskey in simple terms, sophisticated, approachable, and refined. Yeah, I almost even get a little bit of pineapple coming out here, just slightly bringing in a hint of tropical, just barely.
The alcohol in the experience is extremely light, but there is a good viscosity to it, even at 46%. You get the fruits, again, light citrus fruits predominantly. And as soon as you swallow, spicy, a lot of spice. The spice wraps around your tongue, gets on the sides, gets underneath. You know what I mean? And that spice really kind of takes it home. And then on the finish, a really subtle but rich oak note. Like, it's subtle, you got to pay attention to it, but there's a lot there. It's a fairly dense note. But everything is very layered. Everything is very approachable. I mean, just very much like a very well done Highland malt. It does give me it does give me similarities.
Yeah, I mean, they're bringing back the pot still now. That big spiciness on the finish and the back end, that's completely coming straight out of the classic pot stilled Irish notes, which is beautiful. Definitely jammy still. Lots of vanilla. It's getting into like, if you're not an Irish drinker, a really well done grain whiskey generally gives me like a vanilla ice cream kind of note coming through here in that pot still. Finish is long. It's complex. If this is your first drink of the night, the spice is going to be a little overpowering. If you've had a couple drinks, the spice on here is actually a really inviting additional complexity. So if you are looking for that super refined, super sophisticated whiskey, this might be a little too punchy for you. But for anybody else who likes to get an assertive, aggressive whiskey, that spice really, I think, brings it all together beautifully.
The spice is the one thing that stands out as far as an aggressive part of this experience, and it's just on the palate, just right when you swallow, right at the mid palate, beginning of the finish. And you need to expect that with Irish whiskeys in general, but even someone like myself who's a little bit more, maybe not as attuned to spice as some other drinkers, it's a decent wallet, but it's not as, I don't think, as strong to take as you might think for a first drink. I find it a little bit more approachable than that.
Well, last time we had it, I remember you bringing up the spice a lot more than this time.
I was a different person back then.
It was like 3 weeks ago. And it was the first drink of the night, which is why I bring it up.
My opinions vary. You might actually be right then.
I
don't think so.
Because we just had a very spicy whiskey before this.
Okay.
Like, we had a very assertive, aggressive, spicy whiskey.
Maybe that's it. You might be right.
Ooh, the water did kind of shift things here on the nose.
A little bit more honey.
It's more a little more assertive. I'm almost getting a little bit of that pot still note now. Yeah, a little of that spice is coming through. I think you're right, though, honey.
I agree. A little more spice coming through.
Yeah, I'm starting to pick up the pot still a little bit.
Fun whiskey.
Really nice. I mean, it's just well made. It's a quality whiskey that I think I would tell somebody, hey, here's what classic Irish bourbon casking does. And
It might be too spicy for your first drink. It might not.
yeah,
You have to judge that for yourself.
it's just well done, well put together.
All right. Whiskey score time, Dustin.
I'm ready if you are.
It's been my favorite whiskey of the evening. So
Really?
far. Yes.
Wow.
So I'm going to give this an 89 out of 100. I think it does a lot of things well. The spice was a good amount for me, at least at this stage of my evening. And I like all the little pieces. I like all the fruits. Great mouthfeel. I wish I had a little bit higher ABV than 46, but I'm going 89. I was 88, 89. I'm going to go with a higher version of the score. Has some subtlety and refinement to it.
It's the first time of the night we're going to deviate a lot.
Where you at?
So I'm going to give this an 86.
I thought you were going to say that.
I really enjoy the whiskey. I think it's really well done. You could talk me into an 87, but water did thin it out more than I expected, to say the least. It's really well done. It's classic Irish. I like a little more excitement. I think there's quite a few Irish whiskeys for a lesser price that I enjoy more. But I still think this is kind of like the gold standard for like, here's what Irish is trying to be. So part of me wants to give it a higher score for that, but the reality is, to me, it's a little boring. It's well done, it's well put together, but it's kind of like, a Macallan 18. It's well done, but it's 43%. It's kind of boring, especially on today's modern ones with those casks.
I see your point.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from on that. Anyway, those are our thoughts on the whiskey. Who's right, Dustin or me? Thumbs up for me, thumbs down for Dustin.
Thumbs down on the video.
I'll put a comment. Who's right, me or Dustin? I'm gonna put that's be the first comment in this video. Thumbs up, thumbs down for me. Anyway, tell us what you guys think if you had a chance to try this one. And until next time, Dustin, what do we wish the folks?
Happy Irish drinking.
We'll see you then.